Lucille Ball, the fiery redhead who made millions laugh with her groundbreaking sitcom I Love Lucy, spent her final years in surprising isolation, a stark contrast to the decades she spent in the spotlight. Though she was once the queen of comedy, adored by audiences and surrounded by colleagues and admirers, Lucille's last chapter unfolded in a way that few could have predicted. Her home in Beverly Hills, once bustling with industry visitors, fellow stars, and friends, eventually grew quiet. Her phone rang less often. Her doorstep saw fewer familiar faces. And behind the ornate gates and manicured gardens, Lucille found herself living in the echo of her past fame, largely alone. To understand how Lucille Ball ended up spending her twilight years in solitude, we must rewind to the heart of her life, the glory days when she and her husband, Desi Arnaz, created I Love Lucy, a show that didn't just entertain America but transformed the television industry itself. Their on-screen chemistry and off-screen drama captivated audiences, but behind the laughter was a woman who struggled deeply with the costs of fame, the pressures of being a pioneer, and the pain of a crumbling marriage. After her painful divorce from Desi in 1960, Lucille never fully let anyone in again. She remarried, this time to comedian Gary Morton, but many of her closest friends would say she kept emotional walls up that never truly came down. As time passed, the industry that once celebrated her began to change. Lucille, a trailblazer in her time, found it increasingly difficult to connect with the new Hollywood, which was faster, younger, and less sentimental. She didn't adapt well to the shift in comedy styles and struggled to find a place in the modern television landscape. Though she made appearances and took on occasional roles in later years, the projects never captured the magic of her earlier work. The public still loved her, but Hollywood had moved on, and Lucille felt it deeply. Privately, Lucille was known to be strong-willed and even intimidating. Many who worked with her admired her genius, but admitted that she could be emotionally distant, even cold. She had few close confidants. Former co-stars like Vivian Vance, who played Ethel on I Love Lucy, were once her inner circle, but time, illness, and changing priorities saw those relationships fade. After Vivian's death in 1979, a profound loneliness began to settle in Lucille's life. Friends noticed she became more reclusive. She'd still attend events from time to time, but it was clear her heart was no longer in it. One of the saddest aspects of Lucille's later years was her estranged relationship with the people she once considered family, her colleagues, and even, at times, her children. Her daughter, Lucille Arnaz, remained involved in her life, but sources have shared that even that bond was sometimes strained. Lucille could be controlling, perfectionistic, and distant, a combination that made emotional closeness difficult. In interviews, Lucy spoke respectfully of her mother, but the subtext often hinted at unresolved tension and emotional gaps that were never bridged. By the late 1980s, Lucille's health began to decline. She underwent major heart surgery in 1988, and although she initially recovered, her energy was never the same. She retreated even more from the public eye. Her final public appearance at the 61st Academy Awards in 1989 was a reminder of the star she once was, but the sparkle in her eyes had dimmed. Just a month later, on April 26, 1989, Lucille Ball passed away from a ruptured aorta. She was 77. At the time of her death, tributes poured in from across the world, and fans mourned the loss of a television icon. But what few people knew was that in the months and even years leading up to her passing, Lucille was often alone, not because people didn't care, but because, in many ways, she had pushed them away. Whether it was out of pride, pain, or an inability to show vulnerability, Lucille Ball had become a fortress. She had lived her life making people laugh, but in the end, she struggled to let people close enough to see her sadness. Lucille Ball's legacy as a comedic legend is secure, immortalized in reruns, tributes, and awards. But her personal story serves as a quiet reminder that fame can be a double-edged sword. It can fill arenas and hearts, but it doesn't always fill the room. In the end, the woman who gave joy to millions found herself living in the quiet shadow of her own legend, a bittersweet ending to one of Hollywood's brightest stars.